Prof.
Yeah.
Last week was really it was really impactful. We had people calling in. We had
Yeah.
people who had very definite ideas
Yeah.
about what they wanted
Mhm.
to say or what they believe. So today we've put together a PowerPoint. Unfortunately, we're not able to show it because of technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So we will be reading a lot, but all of these have sources. They are not made up,
Yeah.
and we will say join us. Um, I cannot say call in because I don't know how to work the phones, but join in the conversation, and I hope that we have a very great discussion this Friday.
Yeah.
So Prof, before we start, before we go through the comments, I found a very interesting piece that you and I shared about because people keep saying, well, the American Liberians didn't purchase Cape Mesurado, and I said nobody said they did. Right? It was agents of the United States government.
Yeah.
Robert Stockton was never an employee
Yeah.
of the American Colonization Society. Um, he was tasked
Yeah.
with
He was.
finding a place, yeah,
Yeah.
by
He
the
was.
American government
Yeah.
who had money for such a thing. But one thing I wanted I want us to remember is that the settlers that came, they were not involved in any way with this purchase, because interestingly enough, when the U.S. government sent Stockton, right? Stockton came because the U.S. government has started um, catching gunboats, right? They
That's
were
right.
saying, yeah, they were saying that we are not going to have slavery in any form.
Mm.
Yeah. So Stockton was tasked with going to find land for the free recaptured slaves, right? The
Yeah.
slaves, yeah, yeah, and then those who um were going to go the 86 or whatever to find land so that what they recapture can also come.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing that really boggled my mind was that when these people, I'm talking about the free slaves who came on the Elizabeth
Yeah.
to Shebro, right? The day they got there, or yeah, or January 7, 1822, right? Eli Aries told them exactly how to behave. He said, and I will read it since we can share the PowerPoint. And I quote, be it enacted by the agent of the American Colonization Society that no persons belonging to this colony shall be permitted to deal with the natives except an authorized agent, so long as he shall receive rations, either in whole or in parts from the society, nor within 1 year from this day. Any persons being guilty of a breach of this law
Mhm.
and clearly convicted thereof by evidence to the satisfaction of the agent or other proper authority shall be punished by fine, imprisonment, or flogging according to the circumstances of the offender and at the discretion of the judges forming the court.
Mm.
In the absence of the agent, two judges shall form a court for the trial of offenders under this act. And that was in January 7, 1822, written
Yeah.
by Eli Aries.
Mhm.
So imagine that, Prof.
Yeah. And I think at the heart of it all was that they didn't want circumstances of rash behavior, especially from the rank and file of the colonists.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
hey, everything should be done through the channel, proper channel,
Yes.
and we don't want to have conflicting types of views and conflicting behavior. So please. let's
So
let's let's follow let's
let's
follow
follow.
that protocol. Yes.
Yeah. So if it's that they were not supposed to take part in anything,
Mhm.
then that means that they weren't involved in any way in
Yeah.
this so-called purchase or anything. They weren't
Mhm.
involved.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to put that there because
Uh-huh.
people were saying, oh, the settlers bought the land, and the settlers were not involved in any way. It was Stockton.
Mhm.
And so last week we discussed about the purchase. We had, like we said, very definite views. We talked about how when Stockton came, the governor told him, say that the governor said that, look, these people, they are a warlike people, they don't
Yeah.
sell their land, you're not going to get far.
They are territorial. You
Yeah,
don't mess with them. Yeah.
yeah. And in fact, Boer Miller brought Frederick Starr into the discussion, and Frederick Starr said that, from all I know as an anthropologist, these people don't sell their land,
Yes.
right? Because the land goes on to
It's in
posterity.
collectivity. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
So you can't say they sold their land. Okay, so now we discuss the fact that Stockton went Stockton went and he made friends, technically
Mhm.
friends, with the chiefs, especially King Peter, right? And he told King Peter that they would like to purchase land. King Peter said, no, you cannot get the Cape. The Cape is, I mean, if I sell the Cape, I will die, and my
Yeah.
many women will cry.
Yeah.
He said, you're not going to get the Cape. So he couldn't get the Cape. But when they decided to come and do the contract, King Peter was nowhere to be found.
Mhm.
And so they went looking for King Peter, and when they found King Peter, interestingly enough, King Peter, when they found him, and he said, "Look, I'm not going to sell this. In fact, I don't have the authority
Oh, yeah.
to sell this piece of land.
Yeah.
It's we all have to jointly agree.
Mm-hmm.
You
It's a
know,
collectivity. Yeah.
yeah. And so while he's waiting, then Stockton gets angry because, of course, Stockton is an army man. He's there to
Yeah.
complete a task,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, like, he wants to go home.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have time, so he says, you're going to sign it. And of course, there are people there, other indigenous people, who are kind of agitated
Yeah.
because there's like, what this man doing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
talking to our chief, our king,
Mm-hmm.
like that. And we get all this from Eli Aries'
Yeah.
account, that for some reason, and he said they were unarmed when they went there, and he was so scared. And then, of course, he has he has he has Larry Davis. I'm sorry, Prof. I have to uh, to answer this. The colonial agents were black, but at the beginning they were not. And we're not talking about Paul Coffey and the other. We're talking about Eli Aries at the beginning. Stockton was not an agent of the American Colonization Society. So please, and let's continue our discussion. So when Stockton went, right, he said, oh, I would like to purchase land. Of course, King Peter said, no, I'm not going to sell you the land. So anyway, he follows King Peter, right, into where he lives, into the
Yeah,
interior.
few
Yeah.
miles. Actually, they make this thing. I mean, we are talking about today now, but in those days, actually, it must have been maybe two or so miles inland.
Oh,
We should have put the whole thing, where you have maybe the St. Paul River Bridge now and that sort of a thing. There about. It wasn't like you are walking. You walked 2 or 3 days and all that kind of a thing. It may have been a few hours and all that. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, when he got there, and he wasn't feeling any agitation, because Eli Aries says in his letter that Stockton was not even afraid.
Nonchalant. Yeah,
Stockton
yeah, that's
nonchalant.
right. Yes.
Yeah. And while he was there, then when they started, he said, well, you're not going to make a fool out of me, right? And so, of course, the interpreter was there, and sometimes they felt that the interpreter was telling the people that,
Yeah.
oh, these people are going to take your land. So the
Yeah.
people were very reluctant. So anyway, what happened is that Stockton, who was unarmed,
Mm-hmm.
pulls out a gun.
Two of them.
First he gives him he gives one to Eli Aries, and he says to Eli Aries, look, you pointed at Mills, I think it was Mills, and he said, and if he talks nonsense, you blow his brains out.
Yes.
And he pointed the other one at King Peter and said, okay, now you're going to sign this contract. We're going to come back and you're going to sign it, or you will be the first catch fatality.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Of course, as you can see, the long and short of it,
Yeah.
the contract is signed, right? And again, since the contract is like this big thing that people keep talking about, so the contract is that he gives what he gives powder, he gives a lot of stuff. If I can even read some of the things that he gives, he says so it was nails, 20 barrels of rum, handkerchiefs, but also don't forget, Prof, that it was somewhat to be paid.
Yes.
He hadn't finished, right? The things that they gave them some, but they weren't finished because some of the things were still
Mm-hmm.
missing. Is it to be paid?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So that's where we kind of ended up, right? They thought they had the Cape and the island,
Yeah.
and they were coming down to settle. So we said that, well, today we're going to end the discussion, but we're going to end it on what happened after the contract was signed.
Yeah.
Right? So what happened, Prof?
Yeah.
You want to
Anyway,
jump in?
because there's one item that was left out, and we want to talk about. Remember now that Lieutenant Stockton went there disguised. He didn't project his American citizenship.
Yeah.
He went there. He said, "Look, I am just an adventurer and all that, and I want at some point to get a piece of land and then see what I can do for you. Not for them, but for you. You native people. You locals. I'm going to bring." He started painting this bright picture of what he will eventually transform that place into. And so the fraudulent way of getting the land, of getting a contract to be signed, what have you, is another problem that people should never forget in terms of the so-called negotiation and the sale of land we keep talking about.
In fact, he said that he said we're going to. What he said was that we're going to. He said we're going to make farm and bring things, and the houses will be used to hold the produce.
Yes.
Yeah. It will be like a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. Yeah. So anyway, Stockton gets the contract. He goes off with the contract, and Eli Aries is there, and then they leave everything. So we come back now to Eli Aries, because Eli Aries, this man kept meticulous records. Really meticulous records, right? So since we cannot do the PowerPoint, first, okay, so after the purchase now, right? The next day, right? He says, we have this morning been on shore and selected a situation for a town and directed 6 houses to be built against my return from Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
We have purchased a tract of country containing $1 million worth of land with the best harbor between Gibraltar and the Cape of Good Hope. An island containing 9 houses. There are excellent springs of watering ships. All these we have purchased in fee simple for little more than was stipulated to be given for the annual rent of Bassa, and not amounting to more than $300. Right? The island at the mouth of the river, we have named Perseverance to perpetuate the long and tedious palaver we had in obtaining it. The people have palaver, Prof.
Yeah, that's we're talking about the trouble.
Yeah. So now we come to the fact that okay, the people now they've come, they've started building on the land, right? And so Eli Aries now comes back in his letters again, right? And this is like the source because it is so important to see what transpired after, right? So he goes on and he says, we arrive at our settlement in 5 days on the 7th of January. The crewman whom I had left in charge of the island came to the vessel and informed me that immediately after Captain Stockton and myself had left the roads of Mesurado, the kings of the Due country called King Peter to a palaver over the St. Paul River for selling the country to a white man without first consulting them, and that they still retain him prisoner and threatened to cut off his head, and said we should not have the land. I immediately began to unload, intending to get possession that the people might go on with their building. I could then palaver with the kings at my leisure. So King Peter, he has water, Prof.
Yes, computer is in hot water.
King Peter is in
Yeah,
hot water.
yes.
Yeah, but if you remember when when Eli Aries was writing in the first letter, he said when they told King Peter that they wanted to buy the cape, he laughed. And then he said, I can never sell the cape. He said,
Okay.
because if I sell it, I will die.
Yeah.
And my wives will cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, this I can never sell the cape.
And
You know?
we should keep in mind that the Cape uh, stood as a watchtower,
Yeah.
stood as a watchtower for the
Yes.
people.
For the people, yeah.
In other words, there some team will go to see what was happening on sea.
Yeah.
To see how they will prepare themselves and all that kind of thing. So the Cape was no small vantage point
Yeah.
to be just trivialized.
Yeah. 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 So when the first boat passed up the river, it was hailed by the natives and ordered back. I paid not attention to them, but continue on with our business.
Mm-hmm.
I dispatched a messenger to King Peter, informing him that I was ready to pay him the remainder of the purchase money according to our contract.
Mm-hmm.
Word continued to arrive from day to day that the kings were all coming down to see me. I detained the vessel 2 or 3 days after she was unloaded, wishing to have the business settled before my return to Sierra Leone. The people want to see him, Prof.
Yes, big time too.
Yeah, they want to see him. But you know,
Sergeant.
Prof, I mean, his letter is really factual because if you remember in the contract, they gave some things and there were other things to be paid,
Yes.
right? So Eli Aries now is coming to pay the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming to pay the balance. So he's in no hurry. He said, I can fix this palaver,
Mm-hmm.
at my leisure. Yeah. So he says on the 16th of January, the ship sailed. Now, Prof, this one is very important. He says, as soon as the Augusta left the harbor,
Mm-hmm.
the kings came down. I have since found that they cannot be brought to a palaver without difficulty where there is a vessel lying in the road.
Yes.
They sent me word that they will meet me at Crewtown the next morning. So
Yeah.
you're right. The Cape was a lookout point.
Yes.
So and these kings, they never came down when there was a gunboat or a ship there.
You're security minded now.
Yeah, security minded. So they didn't come. But he said as soon as the Augusta left, they came down. Right? They came down So now they were ready to talk. And they informed him that they will meet him at Crewtown.
Yeah.
So he says
That's Old Crewtown now.
Oh yeah.
That Old Crewtown.
By the beach, right?
Yes, by the beach.
Yeah. So he said when we arrived at Crewtown, we were informed that King Peter was sick in his back and could not come, but that the kings were at his town and wished me to come there. He said, I did not much like the proposal, as Captain Stockton and myself were told the same thing, which afterwards was a mere artifice. But it wasn't an artifice. It was artifice on your part, not on them.
Yes, you
Yeah.
know.
But King Peter is sick now, so he has to go, right? He said, on arriving, we were shown to a seat in the palaver hall. I could distinctly hear the kings at the back of the hall disputing for some time. At length, they made their arrival, spread their mats under the shade of a tree before the palaver hut, and they took their seats. The interpreter rose and asked me why I had come to Africa.
Mhm.
I explained to them our object in coming, that we have purchased the land to build a large house. Listen to that, Prof.
Mhm.
To build a large house upon to contain the goods we should bring out, and likewise to make plantation,
Mhm.
to raise rice and tobacco for our support.
Mhm.
After I had done speaking, King Long Peter rose and said that when Captain Stockton and myself were there to buy land, they told us they were willing, but that the land did not belong to them alone.
Mhm.
It belonged to all the kings, that they would all call all the kings and hear what they would say. They had now called all the kings, and their answer was that they were not willing that we should have the land, that I must now take back the things which we had paid King Peter
Yeah.
and leave the country. Hit the road, Jack.
Yeah. Don't you come back, right?
And take your things with you. Take your things. Take your things with you.
You know, when we are discussing these things, I wish resources would be flowing all around, that one day we'll have a saga of a national history.
Yeah.
Yeah, a history where people, after relaxing, what have you, will come in the place there, and almost a roots type of thing. Let people see in a clear, dramatic fashion, what transpired and all that kind of a thing. I think it will tell a strong sense of what is called collective memory type of thing, and then we'll kind of run with it.
Because, Prof, another thing is that when people are discussing all of this, and and people have very definite ideas
Yes.
about what they're doing, But the interesting thing is that although they have, I mean, you cannot really say this didn't happen. It happened, and that's what we keep saying. We keep saying that, look, it happened. Nobody is disputing the fact that it happened. It happened, but let's discuss this, and let's say, you know what, it happened, but we are going to move forward.
Yes.
And build the country. But it's like when you try to say, okay, this happened, there are people who are, no, it didn't happen, it didn't happen, and then they get all agitated. And we always say to them, look, you don't deny history. This is not King Peter writing.
Yeah.
In fact, Eli Aries should have been the one to write something different, because it's not favorable to them.
Yet they were determined to document all that
Everything.
Yes,
and now here he is saying that, I'm back here because I didn't finish paying
yes.
for it, He said, I'm not finished paying, so now I need to come back and make payment, so it's when we say that Liberia's history is convoluted, people look at us funny. When we say that this is a journey that we're on, and try and do your own digging, people look at us funny. But we even if Prof and we are sitting here and we're telling you, oh, this happened, you can also say, you know what, I'll go do my own digging. I don't have to listen to you. But yet when we say that we're digging, people be like, oh, what about this person? And I always say, nobody has a monopoly, on history, But what we're doing is, if you go to the source and you can cross-reference, and you see that these things happen, it's not just in one, but, oh, this person said it, that it's a fair representation
Yeah.
of this,
Of the happenings.
Yeah. But anyway, so now that Eli Aries is there, they're calling calling him,
Mm-hmm.
and the chiefs, they are telling him, look, we didn't tell you that we're going to sell you the land. We said was that we're going to consult
Yeah.
with the other chiefs. And now that we have consulted, we find out that no, we don't want to sell
Mm-hmm.
our land to you. We don't want to sell our land to you. So Eli Aries, now he's in a quandary. What does he do?
Yeah.
So he says, and I'm reading his letter. He said, I told them that when Captain Stockton and myself were there before, they told us they were the rightful owners of the
Mm-hmm.
land,
Mm-hmm.
and that the book they gave us would testify the same, that we
Mm-hmm.
had bought the land
Mm-hmm.
and in part paid for it, and now
Mm-hmm.
I had the remainder of the money to pay them according to the written contract,
Mm.
and I insisted upon their receiving it.
It's something like your word against mine.
Yeah.
But the thing about certain narratives, part of which we are talking about, is that there are certain perceptions.
Yes.
There are times that people want to hear what they want to hear, and anything can go to whatever hell or wherever you want to send it. And that's probably what is happening. How in the world these people did not tell them that, well, look, this belongs to only us, and then turn around and say no? Or would they say, somebody might argue and say, well, it's because the monkey was on their backs now, therefore they decided to recant what they had said. But given how they stood and all that, it may be accepted that these people told them that, and especially given how the concept of land, the concept of land ownership and what have you, given what it is, and those people, because in those days, you didn't become a king or you didn't become a chief just by fiat. You had to go through a number of years and get steeped into the culture of the people, including that of the law of the land and what have you. So they couldn't have just said that this place belonged to us. How in the world would this guy Peter come out again and say, if I sell this land, what? I will die. They will
I will
kill me.
die. Yes. My wife will cry.
My wife will cry, of course, including the children will cry. So this thing was not a simple joke type of thing.
Yeah. But also, even let's play devil's advocate and say,
Yes.
even if he said, okay, it's my land. I mean, I would say the same thing if I had a gun to my head.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay.
I would say
Yes.
the same thing.
Yes.
And the gun is without dispute.
Uh-huh.
It's in Robert Stockton's papers.
Yes.
He said there was in fact 2 guns. And not only did he say it in his papers, Eli Aries said it as well. So these are 2 witnesses who, if anything, they shouldn't even be saying things like that, and they're saying it,
because
right?
they will be throwing themselves under the bus. Would they want to do that?
Yes.
Of course not.
Eli Aries continues. He said, well, when we came, you guys told us that this land, it was your land, right? So now I have the remainder of the money that I need to give you all the things. Remember those lists of things that they had. And then listen to this. So when the chiefs told them, take your things back, right? We don't want your things. He says now, as to taking the things back, I told them I could not do that. Captain Stockton had purchased and parts paid for the land. He had left me there in charge of it and to build a house, to receive goods against his return, which I expect will be very soon. Lying to the people. Agreeable to the law of their country. When a bargain was cancelled, this is the important part. When a bargain was cancelled, wherein part of the purchase money had been paid, it was always incumbent on the party to return the same goods which they had received. So he's saying that, if we've given you all these things and you say the land's ours, if you want your land back, bring our things back. Right? Isn't that, you're a lawyer, Prof? Tell me, right?
Yeah, that's what they knew, and they wanted to trick the people with. Yes.
Yes. Bring our things back. Yeah. So he's telling the chiefs now that, first of all, they're already building on the land. But he's telling the chiefs, okay, in fact, there was one ship, one of the boat that came from Chevron, I think,
Yeah.
that the chiefs told them, go back, go back, But he's saying, okay, if you want us to give you back the land, bring our land back. I mean,
Yeah.
bring
Bring
the
out
things back. Yeah. So I have a question before we continue. Prof, did they ever pay? So they hadn't paid. He was here to pay the second one.
Yes.
Okay, he was here to pay the second one.
Mhm.
Okay, so he said, bring the first things back, right?
Yes.
Now, this man, look, Prof, I'm sorry. I swear, I think we need to do this show all over. Because when you listen to what this man said. Listen to what Aries said. Aries says when he told them to bring it back, this I knew they could not do, as I knew they had drunk up the rum.
You see?
And use a great deal of the tobacco. So Aries is saying, bring our things back. We gave you the land. But he knows that the rum and the tobacco is gone.
Yeah, that's part of the artifacts now. That's how first of all, this man Saturn didn't say that he was an American. This man didn't say that he was even connected to the colonists. You see, he disguised everything, and then went on to said they get to the place there, and Aries, the guy by him, says that they didn't have guns. All of a sudden, by magic, guns appear, and he's putting the guns at the head of those people that matter in the case.
Yeah. So Aries says, if I could take back the goods which remain and go away, Captain Stockton would not know where to find me. So he's telling them now. And as there will be a great loss, there would then be palaver over me. This I could not consent to. King Peter, poor King Peter, Prof. King Peter took a private opportunity of begging me to take the things back to the island and wait there until Captain Stockton should arrive. Or else, says he, they will kill we, and we do not want to die.
Yeah.
The big tears rolling down his furrowed cheek at the same time. Prof, I feel so sorry for this man. No, really.
Lay people in Liberia will talk about a time the guy broker was shot. There's other one here. If these people don't agree, my people are smelling my grave.
Sorry,
some water. I'm smelling my grave, my people.
The man, I mean, the man begged.
Yeah.
He begged. But so we have King Peter. So wait, Prof. So King Peter took a private time to talk to Eli Aries.
Small caucus, my man. It's like, my man, what do you want to do to me? So,
but I thought they said King Peter was sick at the beginning.
They
said he was sick, so he couldn't come.
Well, anyway, probably that's what they will now write on and say, well, it was more of a ruse. He wanted to keep away and all that kind of a thing. But anyway, he was there now.
Okay. So an important thing is that after the kings had retired, according to Eli Aries, right? Time to consult, they returned. And they had all their goods with them. So they brought everything back.
Yes.
Right? They brought everything back, which were yet unconsumed.
Yes.
And placed before me to the point of what was lacking. He said, tell us what is missing.
Yes.
I did so. Now, an interesting thing is that when Frederick Starr, right, when he was doing his research, he listed the things that they brought back, and the way he has it, right, he says a list of articles taken from King Peter of Mesurado when the contract for land was rescinded.
Yes.
What I mean, Prof?
Well, they just declare a null and void. They just rejected the contract. That's why. End it. They wanted to end it. That's what they did. Rescinded.
So they so this is very interesting. I mean, a lot of people always arguing, but this is very interesting
Mm-hmm.
because Eli Aries said he knew. I don't know how he knew. Maybe he had
Mm-hmm.
some spy. He knew that the people finished drinking the rum
Yeah.
and they've used the tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
But he said to them, if you bring me, right, the things that we gave you guys, then I will take it back. So when I
Mm-hmm.
take it back, is the contract rescinded at the
Of
time?
course, of course. If it is satisfactory that generally the entire thing was brought back, or even if it is like 90%, of course somebody will say, well, they wanted 100%, but of course it's a human thing now, and therefore what is more amenable in terms of, yes, this is true and what have you, maybe it will satisfy the request.
And so the kings, when they brought it back, they told him, said, tell us what's missing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Tell us what missing, so we can I guess find it, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
And this is
But
part of honesty now. This is part of honesty. This is part of wanting to deal with them uh, on a basic, logical, and equal terms. Yes, tell us to our the best of our knowledge and what have you. These are the things. But if
yeah.
there's anything else, let us know.
But then something really important he said after the kings had retired a short time to consult, they returned, right? So he told them what was missing,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
He said there are several reasons which induced me to take the goods back,
Uh-huh.
which we had delivered to King Peter.
Okay.
I was assured that their lives would be in danger unless I consented to the measure, right?
Okay. Okay.
So the first one, so he did take it back.
Mm-hmm.
First, because he thought they would kill King Peter.
Yeah.
Poor King Peter. Did they kill him, Prof?
You would have known. Uh-huh.
So he said, this man would die. So let me take it back. That's one reason. But if you look, Eli Aries was a very astute man.
Yeah.
I would say, had it been Stockton would have just insulted them and moved away.
Yeah, gone away. Yeah.
But Eli Aries took these things back, even though the rum and the tobacco was missing. Right? And he says there are several reasons he did so. The first one is that they were going to kill King Peter.
Yeah.
Oh, but Prof, that's so bad.
But probably he somehow that's the human element I was talking about, to say, well, a lot of the important things have come back, and that's what is. And then the thing about the human element of, well, this is a human being I'm looking at. This is a human being I'm looking at, and that is also important too. Saying that that is why sometimes to stereotype may not be good. You must be able to give room for exceptions. In logic, what is called the qualifier. In other words, all these people are bad, but there are a few that are good, and that's what you see. For instance, in the case of Aries.
Aries, yeah.
Yeah, he sees the human value in this, and seeing that a lot of the things have been brought back, and knowing very well that when it comes to rum and tobacco, the human element of piffering and all that kind of thing will come into the picture. He decides, well, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So
but we will talk about something as we go on. The thing about it is, if we even do a quick run through the items that we are talking about, I would say the stupidity of some of the items that they included over there. Who determined that? Who determined
those? Don't give people hard time. Let me name some of the items. They gave 50 knives.
Okay, well, 50 knives.
12 guns.
Okay, yes.
Okay, 6 bars of iron.
Bars of iron. I don't know what they would do with iron, but anyway, maybe to produce cutlasses and things like that. Okay, so
1 box of beads.
Beads.
Yeah.
We are talking about BEADS.
Yeah, beads.
Is it for the women or what is it?
I think so.
Okay, all right. Beads. Okay.
10 barrels of biscuit.
10. Okay, something to eat. Okay, just 10 barrels. 10 barrels of biscuit. Maybe there's the hard talk biscuit.
12 decanters. Oh, they have wine glasses too.
Wine glasses to entertain Foreigners when they came over, or what is it? Okay.
12 pieces of cloth.
Okay, all right, I can understand.
Yeah. 20,
Handkerchiefs
20 hats.
and 20 hats. Okay, well,
Oh, no, Prof. Those were the ones to be paid. Let me sorry, let the one they gave. Okay, those were to be paid. Now the
okay.
ones that they had already given were 6 bars of iron,
Uh-huh.
one
And,
one cask gunpowder.
and what?
We'll come to that later. 3
Okay.
pairs of shoes.
Uh-huh. 3 pairs of shoes. Who
Yeah.
wears them? Maybe. Okay.
1 box of pipes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
20 looking glasses.
For what now? 20. And then we'll come to the point of now, how were they priced from there? Anyway, let's go on with first part first.
4 hats.
4 hats, okay.
3 coats.
Uh-huh.
1 dozen knives. 10 iron pots. 3 pieces of calico.
Yes.
4 umbrellas.
Uh-huh.
1 box of soap.
1 box of
And 1 barrel of rum. 1 dozen spoons. 6 pieces of blue baft. What's a baft?
Let me see that.
BAFT.
No, I won't know that.
Okay, so anyway, he took it back. He took some of the things back, right? But okay, the first reason he took it back was number 1, that they were going to kill King Peter. So he took it back.
Yeah.
Here is the second reason. Like I said, Aries is a man who thinks through things.
Yes.
So he says, okay, I will take it back because of this reason. 1, they will kill King Peter, right?
Yes.
The second reason, Prof, the second reason, and I want everybody to listen. The people who are listening to this show, share the show. As my people say, please share the show. Yes, the second reason. So when people start writing in my inbox and telling me I don't have it straight, I am trying to divide the country. I'm not trying to divide anything.
Okay.
We're not doing it. We're simply putting the message out there of what happened. The second reason, Prof, that Eli Aries wrote to say why he took these things back. When we purchased the land, the kings objected to our building on the Cape where we wished to build. We had yielded and agreed to the island opposite the mouth of the river where they had engaged to put 6 houses for us by the time I had returned, but which they had not done. On examining this site more particularly, I found that there was a large pond in the back of it, which would render it unsuitable place for a town and made it quite necessary to select another situation, and this will cause another palaver. He took it back because now he has to ask them for another piece of land.
Yeah.
Because the land that they had on the island, it was unsuitable.
Yeah.
There was a big hole, water in the middle that he hadn't seen. And so now there's going to be another palaver.
Yeah. Renegotiation, right? That sort of a thing.
Yeah. He said when we purchased the land, they objected to the Cape. Right? They objected to the Cape. Now, so then there's a third one. There's a third reason he took those things back. And the third reason he said, I'm sorry, Prof, there had been a mistake in delivering the goods to King Peter. We had engaged to give 1 keg of gunpowder. Remember, I said that 1 keg. But by mistake, he had received 6 kegs. This, at the time that it reduced our stock, put him in a position of a quantity of ammunition I was in no way desirous that he should possess.
Yeah.
For these reasons, I had determined to take the goods back and negotiate for building on the Cape, if possible. So there it is.
He had an ulterior motive again.
Yeah. You say, hey, God, I got to come back to the people again.
Yes.
You know, I got to come back to the people again. I got to come talk to them again. I got to, hey, God, what's happening now?
Yes.
Yeah. So So that's it. He took it back. He took the things back. So, Prof, you're the lawyer now. So when you take it back, what's happened?
Oh, but once he takes it back, if he had continued to resist taking it back, it would have been a different thing. But he took them back. That kind of satisfied the criterion that had to do with whether or not we should accept the goods. So the question of whether or not they should accept the goods was over. They accepted them.
So yeah. So that's what I'm asking you now. He accepted them. So that means that the land not for them anymore.
That means that the land is not for them anymore. And then, of course, we will just hope now that they will come to the negotiation table again, which will be a renegotiation. In fact, you saw the last two reasons why. Because he said three reasons: the life of Peter, and the next two. One that had to do with finding a better piece of land, and then the last being that of returning the gunpowder and making sure that food didn't get the six and get in a better war position.
Prof, okay, so forget it. I mean, okay, we pray that they didn't kill King Peter, so that's one.
No, it won't have. Otherwise, somebody would have mentioned that. Yes.
Okay, but then the second one about the land, right? He got to renegotiate.
Yes.
And he knew, because he said, "Oh, the people already drank the rum," and so he knew that.
Yes.
But if the kings knew that they had 6 kegs of gunpowder, right? Couldn't they defend themselves?
Well, again, that probably somebody would say, well, they didn't know better. That's why they did that. I'm sure those people knew something about gunpowder.
Yeah.
I'm sure they knew about gunpowder. But to make sure that, hey, let us not get into something that will make these people refuse absolutely to not take back the goods and what have you, they decide to bring the whole thing back. That's being honorable. That's integrity. You see, the rum and tobacco thing, these were irresistible things. Yeah. But as far as the core part of, if they were interested in handkerchiefs, if they were interested in mirrors and all those, wouldn't they have taken one or two items from here, there, yonder, and what have you? But they brought the major things back.
Yeah, they brought it back, except for the rum and the
tobacco.
Probably, people cannot use the rum. People cannot use the tobacco.
Yes, or probably there was they saw that as part of libation and other kind of thing, and
but,
just.
I mean, I don't. So you're telling me that they even brought the biscuits back?
Yeah, but that's what is so. The whole thing is sometimes gets a little confusing. Whatever they brought things that will matter.
Yeah.
For them, the rum and thing, they just love. In fact, at some point in some of the narratives, they said, well, we were coming and part of this thing, the container broke and all the kind of thing.
Yes. I remember that.
So those things, the short of the long is that those things that really mattered, that they saw could damage the name of someone or what have you, they decided to bring those things back.
Yeah. So when Eli Aries got done talking to them and everything, and they were not satisfied, then he said, "Oh, we can renegotiate the contract, so and so." But Mills was not there.
Yeah.
Because Mills was the interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember Mills was the one that I think they put the gun to Mills. So Mills wasn't there. So so Eli Aries said that because Mills wasn't there, they couldn't do anything. They would wait. They would make no book without him being present.
Yes.
Right?
In fact, at some point, they held him in suspicion. But when he eventually came back, they knew that, as opposed to what they had been thinking about Mill, he was somebody who kind of knew the seriousness of the matter and therefore could not have engaged in any shenanigans.
Yeah, they said, and they themselves, they said they would make no book without his being present.
Yes.
Right? So he said that after I had returned to the Palaver Hall, searched for Mills, but he could not be found.
Yes.
So the king said, as the king said, well, since Mills is gone, nothing will be settled that evening.
Yes. So
But he
pass the
said that
night with
Eli
us.
Avery should stay there until in the morning.
He said this guy will kill me.
He said the people will kill me. It has now become quite dark.
Mhm.
And I thought it better to yield to his solicitation.
Yeah, yeah,
But one thing is that he said once he told them that he was going to sleep there,
yeah,
right? He said the people brought food,
yeah,
plantain,
yeah.
rice. The king took off his robes.
Yes.
And he said something that really he said these people are possessed of a truly amiable disposition.
Ah.
You see?
Unless you get close to a person, you will not know the person.
Yes,
That's why it's very much important in negotiation and all these things. Get a feel of with whom you are communicating, with
yeah,
whom you are interacting. You've got to get a feel of that.
yeah. So now if we look at up till this time, right? You have again, you have this American edict that if you're on a sea, right, and you're caught on a sea as a recaptured slave,
Yes.
they will hold you, but you got to go somewhere.
Yes.
So these 86 people that came on the Elizabeth
Yes.
were sent by by the ACS to settle.
Yes.
But the US government had their own ulterior motive,
Yes.
which was to find land for these recaptured slaves.
Yes.
In fact, the American government said to Stockton, don't deal with these ACS people. Your job is to find land.
My land.
Okay.
Well, how was that possible now?
Because
How was that possible?
Stockton was a hero, a war hero.
Yeah, but Jackie, I can understand. But what I'm saying is that then the partnering, didn't these people have to work together? Would he have stood aloof of the operation of ACS?
But if you know Stockton, I mean, we know that Stockton left after he got his land in Africa.
Yes.
He went and took the California from the Mexicans. So we know that Stockton was a man who was very aggressive.
Yes. And no nonsense person.
And he didn't hook up with Eli Aries until a year later.
Yeah.
And now so Eli Aries was sitting in Chevron listening to Governor MacArthur saying that, those people there on Cape Mesurado, those people there are warlike. They're business hard. And we come back because I want to keep making this thing. They said that the chiefs refused to sell the land to the Portuguese, to the British.
Even the British.
Even the British with their war fleet.
Yes.
So you know that these people are not a group to be fooled.
Yes.
And they are united as
Don't mess with them.
Yeah, as kings. So on Chevron, we say the people started to die. Right? 20 died, died. In fact, of the 4 ACS agents, Paul Coffey died.
Yes.
I think Mills or Bacon died. So 2 died in America, 2 died here. Okay, so they got the land now. When Stockton lied, Prof, talking about law, Stockton lied, right? He told the people, I'm only coming, I won't build a small house.
Yeah.
So when I make my little tobacco, I keep it in the house. Right? I'm your friend.
A fraud.
Yeah, of your friend. There have been debates upon debate. Now, in Stockton's own book, in his own words, the man is telling you that when King Peter told them to come back, when they came back to sign the contract, King Peter ran away and went in the interior.
Yes.
Because he said, I cannot sell you the Cape. Yeah. My women will cry. I will die.
They will kill me. They will kill me.
Now we find out why. The Cape was the lookout point. The chiefs will come, send their people to look to see if the ship, the gunboats are coming. King Peter went up the interior. Stockton followed him. When Stockton got there, Stockton said, oh, you're making a fool out of me. Stockton says he was unarmed. I'm trying to make the case, Prof.
Yes.
Stockton says he was unarmed.
Yes.
Eli Aries says when the indigenous people started to make war chants and say we are not selling our land, he got scared. He offered up a prayer to God because he said, I'm coming to die. All of a sudden, the man who said he didn't have gun, Stockton
Pull
had
out
two
too.
guns. Two guns. Right? He pointed one he gave one to Eli Aries. He pointed the other one to King Peter and said, if you don't
Yeah.
sign this thing, you will die. I will shoot you. That's duress, Prof. So he
Yes,
signed,
of course.
right? So Stockton now left. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this, that Stockton, after he signed the paper, he left. And he said, that, in fact, in the contract, it says it's a document between, what did they say? It was a document between Stockton and oh, Prof,
Um, eh?
I can see you. Where are you?
Yes, I'm okay.
Can you see me?
Yes, full glare.
Oh, okay. I can see you. Okay. So what the reason? Okay, I can see you now. The reason
Oh,
why I
uh-huh.
keep saying that when we talk about the document that Patrick Burroughs found, and people are screaming and say, oh, the people sold their land. And I said, look, it's just one story. And there's something very interesting, Prof. When Stockton got the land, right? When the people signed the deed,
Yeah.
Stockton left with the deed, right?
Yes.
Yes, you know, I mean, we know what the deed said, and of
Yes.
course, Dr. Burroughs found the thing. But listen to this, eh? Remember Frederick Starr? Frederick Starr was the anthropologist,
Yeah.
remember?
Yes.
And Frederick Starr was the one who had gone to the ACS to say, I'm doing research
Yeah.
and I want to go through the ACS documents. I want
Yeah.
to find documents. So Frederick Starr went back to the ACS and said, but I don't understand. They signed the document, right? Where's the document?
Yeah.
Because I want a copy. I want a
I want to
copy of the
look at it.
document.
Yes, that's right.
And the ACS wrote Patrick Starr, and I want to read what they wrote him.
Yeah.
So they said to him, dear sir, I mean, not Patrick Starr, I'm sorry. They wrote, the ACS was asking for the document.
Yeah.
It was the ACS in 1822 because you finish signing the document now. What a document.
Yes.
And they said, dear sir, that's not Frederick Starr. It's in Frederick Starr's papers.
Yes.
But they're writing, they say, the last advice received from Africa were those communicated by you in your very acceptable letter of the 8th. The last containing the truly satisfactory intelligence of the conclusion of the contract with the native princess of Mesurado for an extensive tract of land, comprehending the Cape and a part of the river of that name. A copy of the deed and of the agreement with Mills, and a draft of the Cape, Harbor, and contiguous coast of Mesurado were likewise received by the same conveyance. Lieutenant Stockton, having put into the port of Charleston, forwarded the papers to Washington, and in a few days he was ordered to the West Indies. We have consequently been denied the privilege of an interview with him. What circumstances will account for any possible omission in our communication by this convenience of what you might deem interesting or important? Lieutenant Stockton sent the dispatches by Lieutenant Williamson, from whom we received much information, right? So they want the deed, right?
Yeah.
They want the deed. You say you purchased the land. Well, what deed? Stockton have it, but so so where is it?
Well, here there are two things that are happening here. Are we talking about the contract, or are we talking about a deed, or both?
The one that King Peter had signed.
Yes, but then that's the contract, because actually it would have been almost nearly a magic or something of that sort to have so easily surveyed the whole place they wanted and prepared a deed. And prepared a deed, because the deed would have the various points of coordinates and all that kind of a thing, and even a map to go along with it. And yet we're talking about, so yes, probably is the contract they're talking about.
Yeah, the contract because when Stockton came to Africa, he didn't know which land he was going to get to. There was no deed.
Okay.
Yeah,
You see?
yeah. Okay, so it was not a deed. It was
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
a
a contract.
contract according to
Yes.
him. Yeah. So okay, so King Peter. So they said they got the land.
Yeah.
Stockton got his deed or his
The
contract. He
contract.
left,
Yes.
and so the ACS is saying, but we need a copy.
Uh-huh.
But Stockton was on his way to the West Indies. He was a war hero. He didn't have time for all of this nonsense. He was gone. His work was done. He was gone. If you remember, he even said to the American government, "Don't be asking me any question. Don't
Yeah.
interfere in what I'm doing. Just let me do my thing and be done." So
What?
he got the land. He left. So now we have Eli Aries, right?
Hmm.
Aries is there. Aries thinking now, okay, we're going to start building on a island, right? And then start building on the cape. But when the ship came to start building on the cape, the king said, no, 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 go back, go back, go back.
That's
So
not
there's
what
a
we.
problem.
That's not what we discussed.
Yeah. So he comes now and he wants to see King Peter because he wants to pay King Peter. Remember that deed says half of it we have paid and the
Yes.
other half to be paid.
Yes.
So Eli Aries come and they tell him King Peter is sick. King Peter is sick. So what's happened? You got to go to where King Peter is. He goes there, he meets all of the other chiefs. And the chiefs say, we didn't sell you our land.
Hmm.
We didn't sell you our cape. And like you say, the cape for security reasons.
Yes.
We didn't sell you our cape. Who told you we sold you our cape? You know? So there's a problem now. There's a big problem. So and like we said, this man is thinking and he said, okay, and his letter is very, I keep reading it, but his letter is very clear. Number one, if I don't take these things back, because the kings too. Look, Prof, I don't know why people would think that these chiefs were very astute. They were brilliant strategists
Yes.
as well, and they said to him, tell us the things that, because we want to give you your things back.
Yeah.
So here are the things, tell us what's missing. And of course, he knows that the rum and the tobacco is
Yeah.
gone,
Yes.
but they said, tell us. And he tells them. And he said, number one, if I didn't take it back, I took it back because if I didn't take it back, they would kill King Peter. If I didn't take it back, I went on the island and I found that there's a problem. The people can live on the island, right? That island has a big pond
Yes.
in the middle of it that we didn't see. So now I have to negotiate with them again for a new land. So I better take these things back.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is that he said, my man, we made a mistake.
Yes.
We gave King Peter too much gunpowder.
Yes. Yes.
Instead of one keg, we gave him 6 kegs.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got to take some back. So he took the things back, right? He took the things back. But then he says, we want to renegotiate.
Yeah.
And the king said, we can't negotiate now because our middleman, Mr. Mills, is not here.
Yeah.
So Eli Aries waiting for the middleman. Middleman can come.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting
And
for
he
the
has to sleep
middleman.
there.
Yeah. So the chief says, oh, you can sleep here. At first he was afraid. But they said the minute he says, I will sleep, the people gave him food, they gave him everything. And he's saying, these people are a very hospitable people. They are a very nice people. All of a sudden now they're nice.
Yes.
They're nice people, right? So he says they are nice. So he's going to sleep there, right? He says, and then he says that he stayed there. The next morning, the king sent a message to Mr. Mills to come and make out the list of articles, right? And then he said he spent a day there. And then shortly after the kings had returned, I was told they have formed a plan. But the chiefs are funny, for carrying me into the interior of the country and will keep me there until Stockton returns.
Hold him hostage.
Yeah, and hold him hostage. You see, he said, what would he have done?
No, again in Liberia we say my own business finish.
And so the day passed. He still didn't see Mr. Mills. Next morning they say, the man not coming. And people started saying, oh, they would take him prisoner.
Yeah.
Right. So then he I think he had some people with him.
Mm-hmm.
He said that. So he then, when Mr. Mills came the third time, so before Mr. Mills came, He was really worried. He said, I'm gonna die soon.
Oh God.
Yeah, he said, and then after he waited, and Mr. Mills hadn't come, right? And while he was, I think it was the third day.
Yeah. Third
Yeah,
day.
and then Mills came, and so then he sent a messenger to arrange meeting on the island, right?
Mhm.
And then he sent word to the kings that he had waited on them a long time, and nothing had been done. I would now want wait 2 hours longer,
Yeah.
and if they did not come and settle our business, I will
Mhm.
start for home, right? So he said, and then he will go on home, right? So why he's going now, and then he tells the people that they should bring guns,
Yeah.
huh? Why?
Yeah. Well, I to be on the safe side, that's all it is. Yeah, because actually he was. Uh, remember his earlier state of being almost helpless
Yeah,
in terms of what will happen and all that. And thank God, these people demonstrated their real, uh, human side, the
yeah,
human side that has to do with treating people uh, in a nice way and all that kind of a thing. So
yeah. I think he was a nice man.
now that he's come out of, we'll say, come out of his stupor, the thing about is that, this thing I was going to die, but anyway, you bring the people so that right now I know that I am fully secured.
Yeah, and it's what you were saying. It says that King Peter and King Wiley came into my tent when I was there and said that in rolling the barrel of rum from the beach, it
Something,
broke and the rum was lost. And
yeah.
while rolling the tobacco, all was lost. But then you see, as he stayed there longer,
Yeah.
he got to know these
No.
people,
Yes.
you know.
That's
And then
crucial.
and yeah, he started to talk to them, and then
Mhm.
he said that daily the kings would talk to him,
Mhm.
and the king said they will give me as much land as I wanted. I found that the objection which had been raised
Mhm.
to our settling on the cape applied only to the part which lay between a line drawn
Mhm.
opposite to our island
Yeah.
and the point of the cape, and arose from a peculiar sanctity
Yeah.
supposed to be attached to that place on account of its peculiar formation.
Yeah.
Below this spot, which is called the Devil Bush,
Yes.
they had no more objection to our settling than
Mhm.
on any other place,
Mhm.
and here are determined to build our town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And later on you will read that when they started developing the Devil Bush, the inhabitants were kind of shocked. It reminded me of the coming of the white man to Umofia in
yeah.
Things Fall Apart,
Things fall
where
apart. Yeah,
where this and then the locals at their end said they could do that because they were wearing glasses,
yeah,
and the thing went around that uh, glasses were the objects used to capture any any evil spirit and what have you. But anyway, that's Things Fall Apart. Coming back to our thing there, yes, the locals were also surprised that because Devil Bush in a lot of the African lore, Devil's Bush is where people who are sick, people who are worthless and what have you, that's where they are retired. That's where they are thrown. And so that to the folklore of each place is where you dare not go.
yeah.
It is where evil spirits inhabit and therefore can do you harm if you are not very careful.
Yeah. So there you have it. We started with the purchase in quotes,
Mhm.
and people were saying, "What do you mean they purchased the land?" And
Mhm.
you see that, I mean, like we say, and we say it again. This show is a journey,
Yeah,
and you're on a journey with us to discover a lot of things, and
yeah,
we also are discovering a lot of things.
yes.
And we didn't say that we didn't want to minimize the deed, not the contract. I mean, the contract, not the
Yeah,
deed
the
in any
contract,
way.
yes.
What we are saying is that there's a whole context around that deed. It's like a bill of sale. If you buy
Mhm.
a house, people don't know what you went through to get
Yeah.
the house. The
Mhm.
bill of sale only says you have the house.
Yes.
And so we were saying that, look, we've been hearing bits and pieces, So now let's do our research and
Yeah.
find out.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that, even the settlers, we read the first part, and I told Prof I couldn't believe it, that when they came to Chevron, the people told them it was be enacted by the agent of the ACS that no person
Yeah.
belonging to this colony
Yeah.
shall be permitted to deal with the
Mm-hmm.
natives,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
right? Except an authorized agent. So
Yes.
long as you're getting food from them, you're getting ration,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot
You
deal with
can.
the native. Any
We.
person guilty of a breach of this law
Yes.
will be flogged,
Mm-hmm.
imprisoned, or fined. In
Yes.
fact,
Mm-hmm.
reading these things, there was a guy who was sent back to the United States because he was interacting with the natives.
Yes.
So what we're saying is that this Cape Mesurado, all of these things, when you say, oh, the American Liberia, it was the American government.
Yes.
They purchased Cape Mesurado,
For
Cape
them.
Mesurado, the island,
Yes.
and of course Stockton with his braggadocio, and
Yeah.
the man was just, when you read his book, Prof,
Mm-hmm.
you like, man,
Yeah.
this man is just a bully,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
came and just scorched earth,
Mm-hmm. That's the
know,
army guy.
but we see also that the kings also had their say, that one person does not own
Mm-hmm.
land.
Yeah. That's a
It
collective
has
land
to be,
ownership.
yeah. And when Eli Aries came back to say, oh, I'm here to pay for this, the contract was rescinded. They brought the things and they said, of course, the tobacco wasted and
Yeah.
the rum wasted, but that's it.
Yeah.
But as they got to know him, because Stockton came lying to them,
Yes.
oh, I just want to make little tobacco
Yeah.
farm and
Yeah.
store my thing. But
Uh-huh.
when Eli Aries started telling them we want to live here, so and so, they said, look, it is not the settling that is objectionable to us. It is where you want to settle. This
Yeah.
is our holy ground.
Yes.
You cannot just come and take
Mm-hmm.
and take it from us. You see? And when you say, oh, Cape Mesurado was purchased, no, it wasn't, because Eli Aries came back to discuss how
Yes.
to get Cape
Yeah.
Mesurado. So it has been an interesting story about, that we've learned, we've all learned something, and like I say, no one person owns the archive of memory or history. I think it was Foucault who said, whoever owns history owns memory. And we want to say, there are so many complex pieces that make up this country. But if we work together, if we find that, okay, these pieces fit now, let's move on. That's all we're saying. We're
Yeah.
not here to um to do anything else. I don't know why I can't click on the comments, but I can read them, Prof. Larry Davis says, here is a list of colonial Asians. Surprisingly, a majority appear to be Black. And I said we are not disputing that fact. But there were the first groups that came, some of them were white. Like Aries and Stockton was not a colonial agent,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them were white. And that's why when King Peter said the chiefs are saying, I sold the land to a white man, it was Stockton and Aries. So Martha Kane McIntosh said, Dr. K. Moses Nagbe, this is one of your students from UL.
Is that
It's
right?
so good to see you.
Hi.
And Jedi Amma said, good evening, Prof. It's good to
Hey,
see and listen to you after a long
hi,
time.
Jeda. Yes, I still know you, Jeda. How you
Oh,
doing?
okay. And somebody, Imran Bhatti says, hello from Pakistan. Daniel said, the concept or practice of fee simple land is impractical.
Uh-huh.
You can't farm the same area twice.
Uh-huh.
Their livelihood depended on the soil.
Yeah.
They did
Yeah.
not use land for real estate construction,
Yes.
nor to build cities and make money off of.
Mm-hmm.
The land was for hunting,
Yes.
farming, and community use. The
Yes.
Mende, Mamba, or Vai were of different ethnic groups with different cultures. The only thing they had in common was their Black skin. However, they all lived together without any of them attempting, I don't know. Okay, so Margaret Mapu Dicey said, I know, right? Poor King Peter. Yes, poor King Peter. King Peter said he would die or
I
he
know.
would cry. Daniel said Dr. Aries went to help. Stockton was sent to get the land at any means necessary. Yeah,
I know.
Stockton hooked up with Aries 1 year later.
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
think Stockton went in 1821, I think,
Yes, yeah,
so he hooked
1821
up.
was, yes.
Yeah, he
Yes.
hooked up with Aries. I think
Mhm,
Aries was the more,
mhm,
Aries was a doctor. So I'm
mhm.
thinking that Aries was more,
Humanistic.
humanistic, more deliberative in
Yeah,
his
deliberative.
actions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Margaret said never forget the rope. Yes. Never forget the rope. Yes. According to ACS, King Peter flatly refused to sell the land. According to ACS documents, he returned the agent's gifts and declined to palaver. Dr. Aries was a physician, not a killer, not a warlord. Yeah, he was a medical doctor.
Yeah, yeah,
He was the doctor for the
yeah,
immigrants on Chevron.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one for the ones on Chevron. Yeah, and he did. That's what we said. George Lobo, hi George. He said he's here to take notes.
George
We gave
Lobo.
the list that if you look at Frederick Starr's article,
Yeah,
he listed the things that they brought back. They
mm-hmm.
brought it back when they said take your things, we want
Yeah,
our land,
yeah,
and Eli Aries told you why he took it back,
yeah,
because he wanted to ask for more land,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
stay on Providence Island. Yeah. Okay. Joyce said, I'm here to take notes. Yeah. I'm watching now, and amen. Elizabeth Victoria Dempster, we're still waiting to have you on. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
is she related to
Yeah, it's Roland Dempster's daughter.
oh, is that? Hi,
Yes.
Liz. How are you? Nice knowing you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Daniel is talking about the Windward Coast. Yeah, the slave trade.
Uh-huh.
The Tuka contract was the only instance where land was supposedly sold. It happened. It just happens guns were involved. Yeah. Yep. The history of the Aboriginals on the Windward Coast were not into selling land, and that's what Mr. Fish, when he wrote, that's why he said that they keep the land for their posterity. They
Yeah.
do not sell land.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Even
guns
if
were involved. Guns were
yes.
involved.
Mhm.
Stockton had guns. Yeah. Yeah. So William King said you are correct. The US activated a certain type of strongman asset, Stockton, to accomplish a task, and they know Stockton was ruthless and cunning and could get it done without any compassion. These types of people exist even in today's age.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
know, reflect on this and shake our head. And also today we look at the impunity with which the national budget is passed and shake our head. May God help us, because 100 years from now, historian will look back and ask, how could our legislature allow such?
And that's an important thing, though. Especially when the legislature is filled with a lot of descendants of Aborigines. It's a sad thing.
Yeah, yeah. So, Daniel said the same naval commander Stockton was the same guy who caused a cannon. Yeah, to blow up on a ship. Yeah, he was trying to blow up to show off. Yeah, he actually enslaved Africans on his farm in Virginia. And remember, Prof, before coming to Africa, he said he wanted one of those new boats,
Yes.
the schooner. He said he
Yeah,
didn't want
yeah.
any old boat.
Mhm.
If they don't give him
A bluff boy.
yeah, bluff boy. Yeah,
Once he knew that he had cultivated a certain stature,
yeah.
he was willing to just bulldoze his way anywhere.
Yeah. The people knew about gunpowder, probably the most available ammunition at the time.
Mm-hmm.
My maternal grandfather kept an ancient single barrel, some gunpowder and a pestle,
Mm-hmm.
which he used to load the gun. He showed me this gun. He used it in my presence. It was powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think what happened, Moses, is that they didn't know. I think because you see, I think they just kept the things
Those things, yeah, away from
waiting
yeah.
for Stockton to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that they knew, because Eli Aries is saying that they made a mistake. They gave 6 kegs of
Instead of
gunpowder,
just one.
but I don't think that I mean, I may be wrong, but I'm thinking that the chiefs, when they heard that they sold the land,
Yeah.
yeah, they just kind of like put it aside.
Yes.
They didn't really check to make sure, except for the rum and the tobacco.
Well, and the thing about it, I think, another piece of the rationale is that I think when they were determined that they were going to send these things back, They didn't want anything to get in the way, except for
Yeah.
again the tobacco and the rum, which was
Yeah.
something that we would laugh about and what have you. But those things they wanted to make sure that they were kept intact, so that nobody would think that they were pussyfooting around.
Yeah. 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 Hmm. Christopher Togbasi said America is as guilty as the ACS in their ill treatment and brutality towards the indigenous Liberians. We wouldn't argue with you,
Yeah,
Christopher.
no, also argue.
Yeah. In order for us to fix the future, he goes on, we have to revisit the past so that we can use it as a guideline for our future. Yeah.
It's Tobasi, it's a very important point you are making. I'm not saying that the other people didn't make important points, but what you are saying, what you are doing is you are linking what we are doing now to talk about what happens in the future. We can come at this point and say, well, all these things, the guilt and all that kind of thing, we can talk about it and what have you. But our goal is not that. And that's the point. Our goal is not that. If even things went wrong and all that kind of thing, this should be a lesson. What can we do differently to make the future a better? Because those who may want to misbehave will have to look at the past and say, hey, this is what happened, and many people felt guilty. Now we are moving forward, and what we are moving forward with is a clean slate or something close to a clean slate, so that we never repeat those ugly things that we are talking about today. Very important.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he said, congratulations, Elizabeth Victoria Dempster. History
Okay.
is very interesting and
Mhm.
educational. Amen. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's very interesting. I
Yeah.
remember when we discussed the the Barbados exodus to
Yes, yes.
Liberia. I mean,
Okay.
the same thing, we
Mhm.
talk about it, we talk about the land issue, we talk
Yeah.
about how they came. And that's what we always say, we Liberia is made up of, well, I guess
Too many
primarily
parts.
four different groups,
Yeah.
and it is very important for us to discuss how we got there,
Yeah.
and clear the cobwebs.
Yeah.
Like we always say, each one of us, whether it's ethnic group or groups,
Yeah.
we all are rooms, and
Yeah.
the roof is Liberia.
Yeah.
So we all have to lift
Yeah.
Liberia up and
Mhm.
hold the roof up.
Yes, that's right.
So it's not anything that we're dividing. It's just that
Yeah.
there are some things that we have to know.
Yeah.
I mean, we last week we had three different quotes. The first one, we said, until lions learn to write,
Yeah.
the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter.
Yes.
And that's Achebe.
Yeah.
Chimamanda Adichie says, there's a danger in a single story.
Yeah.
And then Ella Wheeler Wilcox said, unless it is settled right, it is not settled at all.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're going to
Mhm.
move on. Liberia is going to
Mhm.
be 175 years old.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about King Peter and
Mhm.
my favorite Chief Jay, and we're going to move on.
Yes.
But it's important to know.
Yeah.
It's always important to
Context is important.
know.
Yeah. Context is important.
Achebe says, if you don't know where the rain started to beat you,
Mhm.
you will never know where to start to dry your skin.
Yeah.
So it's very important. Other countries have archives, other
Mhm.
countries have museums,
That's why we have museums. Yes. Yes.
yeah. And even if we don't, then maybe the museum is up here, but we can
Yeah.
say, look, we know our history.
Know the collective
So
memory. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really not that we want to say, Christopher said, thank you to our educators and historian in the studio. It's not that we want to put anybody down.
Yeah.
We always say, that the books are available,
Yeah.
the documents,
Resources.
not even books, documents, because I
Yeah.
don't like books so much. I go to the source.
Yeah.
They are all available. Everybody can do the searching. But we just want to say that in our searching for the truth, once we know the truth, we will be able
Yeah.
to say, no,
Move
this
on.
happened
Yeah.
this way or this happened this way. So whether King Peter was crying,
Mhm.
whether they drank
Or
the
strutting
tobacco,
about
the rum and the tobacco, yeah,
and say wasted.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Christopher says, in response to, thanks for the post, I have a different perspective. Liberians are talking about personnel changes, not systemic change. The name Liberia wasn't given by Black people. It was a deception from brutal slave masters. Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah. Thanks so much for this lesson. Let's share this, my people. Yeah. So yeah, so that's it, Prof. Last words. I still want to know if they if they
That man lived.
but any last words, Prof?
Yeah, I think mine will be turning into a broken record, but I insist that it's very much important. And that is, please, uh, let us have an open mind in terms of uh, cultivating the energy to understand key themes in our national history. And knowing about the key themes in our national history is not geared towards divisiveness. It is geared towards making things whole again. We get things whole again when we understand what went wrong and try as much as possible never to repeat that wrong. If we can, let us not learn to repeat the wrong. Every time, let us be ready to read and digest information that will help us build a better Liberia.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. And as we gear towards celebrating our 175th, let us try to dig deep in our history.
Mhm.
Let us try. We can right the wrongs.
Yeah.
You know, most of our people have died. The people
Mhm. Yeah.
who were sinned against,
Mhm.
you know, more than they sinned. But we can make a better future. You know, people always say, you know, if the roots are not strong, the tree will never be
Not at
strong.
all. Not at
Yeah,
all.
so we have to make our roots strong. And people forget history is so important, Prof. I keep talking about this book, Tides of Revolution, about how these the slaves on the ships, you know, they would go to, I think it was Venezuela, you
Mhm.
know, and they would sing about how slaves were free in Haiti and
Mhm.
things, and then the other people in Venezuela would start listening to it and say, so that's how the revolution came on a tide. Not even with educated people, just with
Yeah.
songs and things and
Often it's
gossip and things
ordinary
like
people
that.
that set the ball rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so Liberia history is a map, you
Mhm.
know. I mean, and there's a piece that one day everything will just fit,
Yeah.
you know. And like I said, whether we are from different groups, we are here now,
Yeah.
you know. So what are we going to do with this place that God has given us?
Mhm.
So we want to tell you thank you. You know, I'm here crying inside. Prof knows they canceled my flight to Liberia. I just want to die. So I'm not going home. I'm not going to be a Decemberee.
Yeah.
Decemberee. I'm not going home right now. They cancel my flight. I curse that airline. But it's good
Mhm.
to be here with everybody, you know,
Yeah.
and to say, as always, lift Liberia up.
Yeah.
You know, always lift your country up. You
Mhm.
know, let us pray for the country. Let us tell our friends to mask up.
Yeah.
You know, COVID is going up. Our school also has a lot of cases,
Yeah.
so we're all
900.
sheltering in.
Wow. That's a
So thank
huge.
you very much for
Mhm.
joining us. You
Mhm.
know, please share the show.
Yeah.
Part one was last week, so
Mhm.
if you missed that, you can go and see that. Sorry, we didn't have the PowerPoint to show because they
Mhm.
had a lot of resources on it that you could look at. But do your own digging. You
Yeah.
know, don't take our word for it. If
Yeah.
we say they brought the things back, go to Happy Trust, go to
Mhm.
Frederick Starr, and he
Yeah.
got the list of things they brought back.
Mhm.
You know, do your own digging
Mhm.
and know your truth.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can tell you your truth. You have to
Mhm.
know your truth. But stay safe. Enjoy the weekend. It's been quite a nice weekend here. We're At this time we should be buried in snow. It
Yeah.
was 60 degrees today. I'm like, oh,
Mm.
this global warming is
Yeah.
something.
No.
Yeah, but have a good night, and remember, whether your ancestors were on the Cape, whether your ancestors were crying
Okay.
for
Yeah.
King Peter, whether your ancestors were with Eli Aries or on
Yeah.
Chevron, we are all Liberians,
Yeah.
and we will lift our country up every single day. Thank you and good night. Good night, Prof.
All right, Becky.
Okay. Yeah. So I
We all Abira. Abira is our